My last client in Iowa. So I have a fairly strict curriculum. In 3 days, I got to check all these boxes. And I don't care if you're flying with an advanced flight management system like Avidyne or Bendix King or an old basic GPS system like Garmin, I still want to cover these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't believe in getting an IFR clearance in the air. I'm anti that. You get it by phone or you don't take off.
I
I
am
don't
so
cancel
with you.
IFR in the air.
Yes.
You cancel on the ground. And there's reasons why I feel that way. So, but with the new phone system, I've never been held for more than 5 minutes. So the first day of training, we got held on the ground for 40 minutes because a neighboring airport IFR guy had not canceled. It was now considered overdue and missing. So after 40 minutes sitting there on the ground, I said, you know what? I told the Indy Center or whoever I was talking to, listen, cancel it. We're going to take off VFR and we're going to go do a VFR practice approach to that guy's airport, and we're going to go see if we can find him for you. Like I got my student actively engaged in the search and rescue. Look, we can go help. Instead of sitting our butts on the ground, let's go help. And that was great training. And then the very next day, we were supposed to go to Omaha. And we take off, and right after takeoff in his new Cessna Cardinal, he's like, do you feel a vibration? And I'm like, no. Feels like an engine. Well, he's got a JPI that he told me before I ever got there was indicating zero fuel pressure, but we knew we had fuel pressure and all these problems. He goes, but it's a well-known, cardinal issue with JPI. And I'm like, whatever. So as we get close to Omaha, we've been training for 2 hours. We're being vectored ILS to Omaha, and the engine coughs. I'm like, did you feel that cough? And he's like, no. And the wife in the back's like, I felt it. I'm like, okay. And it coughs again. I'm like, all right, boost pump on, which you don't normally do in a Cardinal. I go, boost pump on, let's switch tanks. Cough, cough. Well, I tell everybody, declare an emergency. And it kept coughing, and we were at 2,500 feet, maybe 7 miles out. And I just took controls. I go, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. Climb to 1,000 feet. And they're like, do you want the fire trucks? I'm like, yep, I want the fire trucks. And so he didn't get training on the way back. He only got maybe 5 hours of flight training in 3 days, but he watched a real emergency get declared.
Mm-hmm.
He learned to rent a car to come home, and they found like all kinds of problems with this engine. They found like a broken spark plug that hadn't been changed in 200 hours.
Oh my gosh.
They found the JPI fuel sensor was leaking and put in the wrong place, and all his other mechanics had missed these problems. And I go, this is the best training I have ever given. Because you can't make that stuff. Like, how many times do you get to declare a real emergency? Right? And it was great training. Not what I planned, but.
Right. Well, and it's funny because I completely agree with you. However, I unfortunately fall into the do as I say, not as I do camp because of, I'm going to blame primacy, to be honest with you. I had the instructors who said, yes, you declare an emergency, but only if X or only Y. And, not so much as an instructor, but in my charter flying, and even frankly, in the very brief stint that I had at a 121 carrier, we've had some things happen. And I, in retrospect, should have declared an emergency and didn't. Right. I got so caught up in trying to fix the situation that it either never occurred to me in the heat of the moment to actually declare an emergency, or, I was trying to fix it so that I didn't have to declare an emergency, when in reality, my brain shouldn't be going, I'm going to get out of this. My brain should be going, declare it, then get out of it.
Right.
And I wouldn't say it's on purpose. It's just kind of where my brain goes. And if a student can have that happen to them, not that you would ever do it on purpose, of course, but if it happens during the course of their normal training and they see that that's what you do, there's that primacy for them, where when it happens to them, when they're by themselves or with another instructor or with a student themselves, hopefully they're going to do exactly what you did.
Right. And that's that's what I wanted him to take away from it, was if the engine's running rough, declare the Mayday, climb for altitude,
Mm-hmm.
land the plane.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else mattered. And, but he, even after he goes, well, aren't we going to have to do a bunch of paperwork? I'm like, no, there's no paperwork. The FAA might call you, tell them what happened, and give them my number. But I've no kidding. I've declared well over 30 emergencies and had to do paperwork once.
And I mean, even if you do have to do paperwork, having those trucks there to save your life, it's kind of worth it, isn't it?